I think we're ready to start.
Thanks, Melissa. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the November open board meeting. Melissa, if I can, I would like to call this meeting to order.
Noted, thank you.
And just before I begin, first introducing myself, I'm Mike Sear, the newly appointed administrator of the Surrey Police Board. And I would just like to have an opportunity, if you don't mind, Chief, to make a few opening comments. First, I'd like to start by acknowledging that the work of the Surrey Police Board takes place on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish people. We are grateful that we share this land and conduct our work here. Before we get started, I want to introduce myself in my new role as the Surrey Police Board Administrator. As many people are already aware, I've recently retired from a long career in policing. I began my career with the Vancouver Police Department and finished my career proudly leading the Abbotsford Police Department as the Chief. I have worked within the Police Board framework and I have a clear understanding and deep level of respect for the governance function of policing. At the heart of this work for me is public safety and officer safety, and delivering results that make the public feel safe and feel supported. I've always believed that a successful police service depends on building and maintaining strong relationships with the people they serve and those who represent them. Both I and many others, including the Strategic Implementation Advisor, are focused on moving the transition process forward in a thoughtful and respectful manner. I accepted this role because this work, the values behind it, and the importance of the success in delivering public safety is something that I truly value. This transition is unique in BC. It has been a long road for everyone involved, and I am humbled and honored to now be part of this from a governance perspective. I deeply value civilian oversight. I've taken on this temporary role with a view to bridging back to a permanent police board as soon as possible. As a sole administrator, even though temporary, I will do this job with the best interests of the people of Surrey at the top of my mind. It is important for everyone to understand, the team of SPS and the community, that I am an independent administrator. As my first step, I wrote to City Council to ask for an opportunity to hear from their thoughts on priorities, their vision, and objectives for policing, and to open a clear channel of communication. I fully recognize that this has been a contentious issue, but I sincerely want the opportunity to listen and to hear from their perspectives. Just like the board, I do not report, just like all boards, I do not report directly to government. If I feel I require additional advice or counsel to assist with specific decisions, I have the ability to seek this out from independent experts as needed to make informed decisions. You'll see evidence of this today as I speak about the 2024 provisional budget that will be submitted to the city as required under the Police Act later today. I also want to acknowledge the work of Chief Lipinski and his team in the work that they have accomplished. Surrey's policing is currently being provided by a blended service with 1/4 or more than 200 SPS officers working alongside the RCMP. I also want to acknowledge the support of the RCMP in this very blended service and the work our people do together every day to keep the community safe. In July, the province determined that the City of Surrey is to move forward with the transition to a municipal police service, with the Surrey Police Service ultimately taking over police of jurisdiction for Surrey. It is essential that this board continue to provide sound governance and oversight as this transition proceeds. Moving this transition forward in an open, transparent, and efficient manner will enhance public safety and create clarity and certainty for all. Turning to the 2024 provisional budget for the Surrey Police Service. Earlier today, I held a closed board meeting in which I was presented with a detailed review of the budget. After requesting the staff make some changes, I have approved a provisional budget for submission. We will submit that provisional budget to City Council today. However, I will not comment on the details at the moment because City Council deserves the courtesy and the opportunity to review it. I will, however, comment generally on how this budget was established. The SPS 2024 provisional budget has been carefully developed. It reflects the guidance from the Strategic Implementation Advisor, Jessica McDonald, on the appropriate assumptions. She also made available direct support from the independent accounting firm of Deloitte. Most importantly, I'm assured that this budget is carefully developed in alignment with the City of Surrey's 2023 to 2027 financial plan. I recognize that the critical path of implementation work with all parties may refine these assumptions. If there are changes to the assumptions prior to March, when the budget is required to be finalized, these will be reflected in an amended budget submission to the city. With the blended service currently at 25% SPS officers, the underlying assumptions reflected in this budget is that SPS will hire an additional 180 sworn officers in 2024. This will bring this blended service to over 50% SPS by the end of 2024. I believe this budget, along with its underlying assumptions, will give City Council the confidence in moving this transition forward. I want to thank you for the opportunity and the time to offer some of my thoughts. And with that, Mel, I would like to move forward to the business of the meeting, please.
Thank you very much. So first we have adoption of the agenda. So Mike, are you approving the agenda?
I am approving the agenda. I've reviewed it and it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And adoption of the minutes. So I should note that the board did not have an opportunity to approve minutes from their last meeting. So do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, simply that I have read the board minutes. I just would like to comment that I want to thank the board for their exceptional work that they've done. Certainly reviewing the minutes for the past several months have really spoken to, the work that they have accomplished, but I'm unable to approve them because I wasn't present at the meeting, but if they can be placed in record.
Thank you. I'll file them with the province with a note that the board did not have an opportunity to approve them. Next, we have delegations. We have no delegations and no delegation requests. So we'll move on to reports. So I actually have the first report. It's really a procedural report, if I may.
Please.
Thank you. So I just wanted to put this report in the open agenda for everybody's awareness that the administrator will perform all duties and functions of the Surrey Police Board. That how we run the meetings really is up to the administrator, that you have full authority to establish the policy and procedures for the meetings. That how you receive your reports, we will do for information, for action or decision, or for referral to a party or a person if you require additional insight or consultation. Number 4 is there will be no time limits placed on speeches, presentations, and questions by you as the administrator. However, you do have the ability to impose time limits if required. The important work of the committees, you as the administrator will act as committee of the whole for matters that were formally considered by committees of the Surrey Police Board. And again, this is where, if you wish, you can obtain independent advice and counsel on a variety of matters that the board dealt with in the past. And finally, for decisions and votes, because we won't be making motions and asking for votes, you will be either approving or not approving decisions. So that report is there for your information and for public awareness.
Thank you, Mel.
You're welcome. Next, we have Chief Constable reports. So if it's okay, I will just pass over the next 4 reports to the Chief Constable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and welcome. Part of my verbal report is to look at the last 3 years, because in fact, in November is the anniversary. And I look back and think about all the accomplishments in the last 3 years. I'm very proud of the SPS team and what they've accomplished in collaboration with the community. First is the number of employees that we have, upwards to 400. Number 2 is when we're talking about operational policing, our members on the front line, we're almost 47% of the front line. We've responded to thousands of calls, and I've seen over and over again great investigations, and in some aspects, some files, some great life-saving measures that we're taking to save people, whether they be accidents or overdoses. We've had a number of consultations with the community. We've had a formal one 2 years ago. We're going to have another one in 2024. Our people weekly go out and engage with the community. I'll talk a little bit more about that in another presentation. When you're talking about recruiting, the JIBC recruits, we've had 37 in total graduate. And we're looking to have another 10 go into class in January. Our organizational culture is strong. We lean forward. We move the processes, the projects forward. And we now are at the stage of course, looking at the 2024 budget, crafting that and getting approval from you earlier today. And also the associated HR plan that goes with the financials as part of that budget. Suffice to say, and in conclusion, we are very much invested in this community, and we are focused on continuing to move forward. I'll stop there for my updates, Mr. Chair, if there's any questions, and if not, I'll move on to the first report.
Chief, if you can move on to the first report, and thank you for that update.
Thank you. The first report in your materials speaks to the hiring, diversity, and deployment. And specifically, I want to highlight the recruit classes. And as I mentioned, 37 recruits. But when you're looking at the diversity of the organization as a whole, two things I'll point out. 20% female, and that is in line with major city police services across Canada. And then 50% culturally diverse. That is a very remarkable number. And I applaud our recruiters who went out there and found people that represented the community that is so important to us as an organization, to have that representation and to continue to have that, because when recruits join any police organization, typically they stay for at least 25 years. And to have that kind of representation on an ongoing basis invested in the community is laudable. And of course, Mr. Chair, languages, speaking lots of different languages, that certainly does come in handy on the front line for a variety of reasons. I'll stop there on that report. If there's any questions, please.
Chief, maybe just one question. I know that equity, diversity, critically important. 20% is excellent for the female hires. All right, have you set ultimate goals? I know many are striving for 30 and 30 and things like that, just as a question of that plan moving forward.
Yeah, so 30 and 30, as you know, Mr. Chair, is a program that some agencies, this is a North American program, would aspire to have 30% female by 2030. We haven't set that as a target, but we are putting our sights on something above the average. We continually to look for that representation, and not only on the front line, but to have that representation throughout all ranks. So we are definitely going to be looking at being above average.
Thank you, Chief.
I'll go to the next report. I think we have a couple of slides there that I want to just make a couple of comments about. When you're talking about community engagement, and we look to have a formal process in perhaps late 2024, we're looking at focus groups, we're looking at talking to community leaders, and we're looking at a survey. It really informs us of the type of police service that we should aspire to be, given that input. But beyond that, on a day-to-day basis, the men and women of the Surrey Police Service go out and engage with the community. And we have a number of different categories. I'm going to just highlight 3 of them here today. The City of Surrey Healthier Communities. We go to these events that either are provincially sponsored, federally sponsored, or municipal sponsorship, and we interact with the community. I think it's important because there's a big draw there and many people attend, and it's important to have that engagement. The next slide is about engaging those in the vulnerable sector and those NGOs that work with all agencies in the sense of community services, with the province, sometimes with federal agencies, but more on the municipal side. We want to work together towards community wellness. We're not only as a police agency looking at law enforcement and holding people accountable that commit criminal acts, but we are also looking at the holistic picture of a community. And so our people have engaged in a number of these organizations to say hello, to describe what we're all about, and to initiate some process of assistance. And the last category is the business sector. And we hear all the time from the business sector about safety, the perception of safety. And so going to the various businesses, more specifically the business associations, is very important to us. We want to hear from them, hear about their concerns. That informs us as far as a future strategic plan is concerned. And we make that connections. And it's also valued that we provide that information that is factual about where SPS is now and where we want to go in the future. So many different categories. I just highlighted 3 here, but that is my presentation on community engagement, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, Chief. And you and I have had an opportunity to talk about the importance of open and transparency, and moving forward, connecting with the various community groups, stakeholders, I think is critically important for the board and for yourself and your service. And I know you and I'll have continued conversations on how we can get that messaging out, how we can connect, and how we can hear the voices of the people of Surrey, so that the Surrey Police Service is building a service that's built for them for now and for the future. So I know you're very alive to that, and so is your team. And I look forward to more discussions and conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move to item number 4, the financial update for October 31st, 2023. I'll hand it over to our CFO. And Nathan, over to you, and walk through the slides, and then we'll be happy to answer questions thereafter.
Thank you, Chief, and good afternoon, Mr. Chair. The report you see in the meeting package today presents a year-to-date update on our expenditures up to October 31st for both SPS operations and the One-Time Policing Transition Project Fund. Next slide, please. Did the slides flip? I couldn't see it. Okay. At the end of September, we also projected what our 2023 total expenditures would be, and we projected $75.4 million. So we used that as a benchmark for our financial update. Next slide, please. As of October 31st, our year-to-date expenditures totaled $59.6 million. So that's approximately 79% of our total projected annual expenditure this year. $72,000 was for board remunerations, and then $53 million was for employee salaries and benefits. 3.2 was for capital expenditures, and 3.3 million were for other operating expenses. And within other operating expenses, that includes supplies, materials, JIBC training costs for new recruits, telecommunications, and outsourced services. At the end of October, we had 386 active employees. 336 of that was sworn members and 50 civilians. And within SPS operations, we had 333 members allocated there. The other 20 employees were allocated to the transition project funds because they were in temporary roles related to the transition and establishing SPS. Next slide, please. Then of the one-time policing transition project fund, year to date, we spent $6.8 million at the end of October. The most significant areas of expenditures were $2.3 million for IT, that include capital costs for hardware and technology-related assets and setting up of new systems. $2.8 million were for assessments of new job applicants, training, and temporary personnel. And also $1.2 million were for firearms, personal issue equipment, uniforms, and other specialty equipment related to establishing SPS and our training programs. Next slide, please. So those five sums up the report. This report was presented for information and awareness, and take questions.
Yeah, maybe Nathan, and thank you for your report. Just some clarification. If I understand right, at the beginning of this transition in 2020, that there was by the city, was it 68 million that was allocated or identified for transition costs?
It's 63.7 approximately.
Okay.
Say 64.
64. And of that, the Surrey Police Service, not all that money has been utilized, and there is still monies available to continue forward with the transition from the funds.
Yes. So if you include the year-to-date this year and past 3 years of expenditures, we spent about 41 or 42 million out of the 63 or 64.
Okay, thank you. And just you know, the budget, just to understand too, Chief, if you don't mind, was it the hiring were stalled, which did impact the budget move forward for a period of time, if I'm not mistaken, as processes were playing out. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that is correct. It's been stalled for about a year. There's been a smattering of hiring and strategic hiring in the sense of replacing some of the members that have retired.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And then I guess, Nathan, just real quickly, so of the 336 members, how many of those members are out on deployment providing public safety in the community?
So our count as of the end of October was 195.
Okay. And just what I'm trying to understand is, you know, I've heard a number of 8 million per month, and just trying to understand that of just the cost of the transition. With those 200 members, their salary and that, which you can tell me roughly what that is that being incorporated to your understanding in the cost in that $8 million projection?
So where the $8 million originated, I'm not sure, but we do know our SPS's average monthly cost is about $6 million. And of the $6 million, $3 million is for deployed members, so 50%.
Okay. So that's monies that would have been required regardless of service to continue to provide public safety in the community is how I'm understanding that.
Correct.
Okay. Nope, that's all the questions I have, and thank you for your report, Nathan.
Thank you.
So that concludes the Chief Constable reports. Chief, do you have anything further?
Nothing at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. We're on to E, information. We have no information items, no correspondence under F. G, there is no new business. So we're coming to the conclusion here with the next meeting, which will occur on January 25th, 2024, or at the call of the administrator. And that concludes the meeting.
Thank you, Melissa. This meeting can be adjourned.
Thank you all.